This is the first Machiavellian law of dangerous confidence. You think confidence is about practice, about preparation, about waiting until you feel ready. That belief is exactly why others dominate you. Certainty is not born from facts. It is born from decision. It is the weapon of men who understand that people do not follow truth. They follow conviction. You hesitate because you are still looking for permission, still waiting for a sign that it is your turn. But men who understand power know there is no turn. There is only the man who acts first with no hesitation and forces others to accept his reality. Machiavelli understood that rulers were rarely the most talented. In royal courts, many men had better ideas, better skills, sharper minds. Yet the ones who rose to power were not the best. They were the most certain. They made declarations as if they were laws. They walked as if they already owned what others were still begging for. Their certainty was so heavy that it crushed the doubts of everyone around them. That is why the bold rise, even if they lack ability, and the hesitant fall, even if they are brilliant. Certainty is not a mindset you wait for. It is an identity you forge. When you speak, your tone must not rise in question. Your words must not drip with apology. Every sentence must land as a conclusion, not an invitation for debate. This is why weak men are ignored. They speak with hesitation, with "I think," "maybe," "I'm not sure." They broadcast their doubt, and the world dismisses them. The Machiavellian man never does this. He speaks like his words are commands, and then he leaves silence behind them, daring others to challenge him. Most will not. To become certain, you must kill hesitation the moment it appears. When your mind whispers to wait, you move faster. When it tells you to hold back, you strike harder. Certainty is not about being right. It is about refusing to be wrong in front of others. The world does not fact-check men who sound like rulers. It follows them. That is the secret no one tells you. People submit to tone, not logic. They obey the man who sounds like he cannot be denied. And when you begin to carry yourself this way, you will notice a shift. People stop arguing. They start adjusting themselves to you. This is why certainty is the foundation. Without it, every other Machiavellian tactic collapses. Presence, silence, gravity, all of it is useless if you hesitate. Because hesitation signals weakness, and weakness is blood in the water. The predator in the room will smell it, and the rest will follow his lead. But when you erase hesitation, when you begin to act and speak like your path is already decided, you flip the entire hierarchy. You stop being prey, and you start becoming the man others calculate around. Understand this, certainty is a choice. You will never feel ready. You will never feel complete. But that is irrelevant. The man who decides is the man who dominates. Stop waiting to become confident. Begin acting certain, and confidence will follow. This is not motivation, it is war. And in war, hesitation kills. Certainty conquers. This is the second Machiavellian law of dangerous confidence. Every man carries two selves inside him, the ruler and the servant. The ruler commands, seizes, and moves as if the world belongs to him. The servant hesitates, apologizes, and waits for permission. Most men live and die as the servant, not because they are weak by nature, but because they were trained to be that way. From childhood, they were taught to obey, to please, to seek approval. And now, even as adults, that conditioning whispers in their mind. Don't speak too loud. Don't take too much space. Don't upset anyone. This is the inner servant, and he is your greatest enemy. Machiavelli understood that power does not come from talent or even intelligence. It comes from inversion, the deliberate act of doing the opposite of what the servant inside you wants. The servant seeks comfort. The ruler creates discomfort. The servant apologizes. The ruler commands. The servant shrinks. The ruler expands. This is the turning point. You cannot become dangerously confident by building slowly on top of your weakness. You must invert. You must flip your instincts until hesitation dies. Think of the last time you wanted to speak up, but stayed quiet. That was the servant winning. The last time you wanted to stand tall but lowered your posture. The last time you wanted to confront but you avoided. In each of these moments, the servant whispered and you obeyed. But inversion demands a different response. When you feel the urge to shrink, you force expansion. When you feel the urge to explain, you pause. When you feel the urge to apologize, you stare. Each action becomes a knife driven into the servant's chest. Slowly, he dies. Slowly, the ruler awakens. The truth is brutal. Most men never even recognize their servant. They think that hesitant voice is their real self. They identify with it. They think, this is just who I am. But Machiavellian confidence begins when you realize that voice is not you. It is the cage. the program, the training. And once you see it, you must begin inversion immediately. You must rebel against yourself. Dangerous confidence is not about learning new tricks. It is about unlearning weakness. The inversion principle is ruthless because it forces you into discomfort. It will feel unnatural, even humiliating at first. You will pause when you want to explain, and the silence will burn you. You will stare when you want to apologize, and the tension will choke you. But that is the point. The discomfort you feel is the servant dying. The more he dies, the more space the ruler has to breathe, and soon the inversion becomes instinct. What once felt unnatural becomes automatic. This is why inversion is terrifying to others. They are used to men obeying. They are used to weak postures, soft tones, constant apologies. When you invert, you become unpredictable. You act against the script they expect, and suddenly they cannot control you. A man who refuses to shrink, who refuses to explain, who refuses to apologize, this man is dangerous because he no longer moves by the rules of approval. He moves only by the rules of power. Understand this. You cannot negotiate with the servant. You cannot reform him. You must kill him. Every hesitation, every approval-seeking behavior, every instinct to play small, kill it. That is inversion. The enemy is not the world outside. It is the loyal dog living inside you, wagging its tail for scraps of validation. Machiavelli would tell you, put that dog down, let the ruler rise. And once you master inversion, you realize something life-changing. You were never weak. You were trained to act weak. Confidence is not something you build. It is something you reclaim by rebelling against the servant and taking back what was always yours. This is the third Machiavellian law of dangerous confidence. Presence is power before power is spoken. Long before you open your mouth, long before you prove anything, the room has already decided where you stand. Most men lose before they even say a word. Their posture bends, their eyes dart, their steps are quick and nervous. They signal to the world, I do not belong here, please accept me. And the world obeys that signal. It treats them as background, as decoration, as men who can be ignored. Machiavelli knew this truth centuries ago. Power is not always the crown on a king's head. Sometimes it is the way a silent figure stands in the corner, the way his stillness makes others restless, the way his presence shifts the air in the room. This is the third law of dangerous confidence. You must learn to radiate gravity before you even speak. Because the man who owns the room is not always the loudest. Often he is the one who moves the least. Presence begins with your body. Predators do not fidget. They do not rush. They do not stumble over their movements. They walk slowly because they are never in a hurry. They know the prey will come to them. You must carry yourself the same way. Walk as if the ground already belongs to you. Sit as if the chair was built for your command. Do not nod excessively. Do not shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Expansion is presence. Space is presence. Stillness is presence. The tragedy of weak men is that they mistake speed for power. They speak too fast. They laugh too quickly. They rush to prove their worth. But in truth, their speed exposes their desperation. The Machiavellian man never does this. His movements are deliberate. His words are measured. His silence weighs more than their chatter. This slowness terrifies others because it signals a man who is not beneath anyone's judgment. He does not need to prove. He has already decided his place. Presence is also observation. The weak man enters a room and looks around nervously, scanning for permission, for approval, for validation. The strong man enters and observes differently. He absorbs, he studies, he watches others rush to prove themselves, and he remains calm, calculating, letting their energy reveal their insecurity. Presence is not about being the center of attention. It is about being the center of gravity. Others begin to adjust themselves around you without even realizing it. When you master presence, you understand why rulers rarely explain themselves. They do not need to. Their existence is the explanation. Their silence is the authority. The room bends before they speak, and when they finally do, everyone listens differently. Not because the words are magical, but because the man has already established himself as immovable. Presence is not performance, it is command without effort. This is why presence terrifies the insecure, because your calm becomes a mirror to their chaos. Your stillness exposes their nervousness. Your gravity highlights their desperation, and instead of seeing you as equal, they begin to see you as a threat. That is what you want. Not to be liked, not to be welcomed, to be respected, calculated, and quietly feared. Understand this. Presence is not something you ask for. It is something you assume. From the moment you walk in, behave as if you have nothing to prove and everything under control. The weak will rush to fill the silence. Let them. The room does not belong to the man who speaks the most. It belongs to the man whose presence cannot be ignored. This is the fourth Machiavellian law of dangerous confidence, silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. Most men fear silence because it exposes them. The moment the room grows quiet, their nervousness spills out. They laugh awkwardly. They fill the air with chatter. They explain themselves endlessly. They think speaking makes them strong, but in truth it makes them predictable. Machiavelli understood that the man who speaks least is often the man who holds the most power, because silence forces others to wonder what you're thinking, and the unknown is always feared more than the obvious. Think of a predator in the wild. He does not announce himself. He waits. He watches. He studies. The prey grows restless because they cannot see his move. This is what silence does in human power games. The loud man is exposed. Everyone knows his position. Everyone reads his hunger. But the silent man remains a threat because no one knows what he will do or when he will do it. This unpredictability creates gravity. People begin to lean in, to wait, to anticipate. That anticipation is power. Silence is also a weapon in conversation. Most men cannot resist the urge to prove themselves. They reveal too much, too quickly. They rush to speak first, not realizing that the one who speaks first usually exposes his weakness. But when you stay silent, you let others confess their fears, their desires, their insecurities. They give you data while you give them nothing. And when you finally speak, it lands like a strike because everyone has been waiting for it. Silence sharpens your words into weapons. The weak man fills silence with apologies, with softeners, with explanations. He cannot stand the weight of stillness, but the Machiavellian man embraces it. He lets his words hang in the air and refuses to rescue others from discomfort. That discomfort becomes dominance, because silence after a strong statement dares people to challenge you, and most will not. They will sit in the tension, and you will sit in control. Silence is also presence without effort. You do not need to be loud to be noticed. Your refusal to rush, your calm observation, your lack of desperation, all of this makes people pay more attention to you. They feel the void you create. They wonder what you are thinking. They fear what you might say next, and that fear is far more powerful than noise. Understand this. You do not always win by being heard. You win by making your silence heavier than their words. The world expects men to seek attention, to beg for validation, to fight for approval. When you refuse, you break the pattern. You become untouchable, because no one can move you into reacting. Silence is not emptiness. It is strategy. It is armor. It is the sharpest edge of dangerous confidence. This is the fifth Machiavellian law of dangerous confidence. Weak men speak as if they are asking for permission. Strong men speak as if they are issuing orders. This is the law of finality. Every word you speak must feel like the end of the conversation, not the beginning of negotiation. Machiavelli understood that true power is not in endless persuasion, but in the ability to make your voice sound inevitable, like fate, like command, like something that cannot be questioned. Think of how most men communicate. They soften their language with maybe, I think, hopefully, if that's okay. These words betray them. They signal uncertainty. They signal weakness. They tell the world, I don't believe in myself, so why should you? And the world listens. The world ignores them, because no one follows a man who doubts his own voice. Finality destroys this weakness. When you speak, you cut away hesitation. You strip your words down to pure command. You say, we're doing this. You say, that won't happen. You say, this is the way. You do not ask. You do not explain. You declare. And in that declaration, people feel the weight of something immovable. Finality is dangerous confidence in verbal form. The psychology is simple. Humans crave certainty. They crave a leader who makes decisions without flinching. Even if you are wrong, people will follow because your conviction feels safer than their confusion. The man of finality is rarely challenged because he leaves no space for doubt. He does not bargain with words. He delivers them like a verdict. This is why kings, generals, and rulers speak differently than ordinary men. Their tone carries finality. When they command, it does not sound like opinion. It sounds like law. And once you adopt this, people begin to respond differently. They hesitate to argue. They hesitate to resist, because subconsciously, your voice has already closed the discussion before it begins. Finality is not about volume. You don't need to shout. In fact, shouting weakens you. Finality is about tone, pacing, and conviction. You speak slowly, with weight. You let silence follow your words so they sink deeper. And most importantly, you never contradict yourself. If you declare something, you stand by it. The man who changes his mind every 5 minutes is a clown. The man of finality bends reality to fit his words. But here's the dark truth. Finality requires courage. Because once you declare, you cannot hide. You cannot retreat behind excuses. Weak men avoid finality because they are terrified of being wrong. They prefer endless maybes so they can escape blame. But this is exactly why no one respects them. Dangerous confidence demands that you risk being wrong in order to project absolute conviction. And the paradox is, once you embrace this risk, people rarely question you. Understand this. Every time you soften your words, you kill your power. Every time you declare with finality, you increase it. People do not follow the most intelligent man. They follow the man who sounds most certain, most final, most immovable. That is the law of Machiavelli. And once you master it, your words stop sounding like opinions. They start sounding like destiny. This is the sixth Machiavellian law of dangerous confidence. Every king who ever ruled understood one law. Power survives only when it is protected, not by walls of stone, but by walls of distance. This is the law of fortress. A man who is always accessible, always available, always open. He is not a man of power. He is a servant. He is predictable. He is weak. Look around. The desperate man answers every call, replies to every message, explains himself to everyone. He thinks availability makes him loved, but in truth, availability makes him disposable. People value what they cannot easily touch. They respect what feels rare, and they desire what feels out of reach. Machiavelli knew this. Distance is respect. Distance is mystery. Distance is control. The fortress is not just about physical space. It is psychological armor. You do not let everyone know what you think, what you feel, where you are going, or what you are planning. The weak man overshares. He broadcasts his life, hoping to be understood. But the man of the fortress withholds. He reveals only what is necessary, and always with intention. This creates an aura. People guess, people wonder, people fear what they do not know. But here's the darkest truth. The fortress is not built to keep people out. It is built to keep your power in. Because when you are too exposed, people drain you. They feed on your time, your energy, your focus. They distract you with petty demands. And little by little, you lose the gravity that makes you dangerous. The fortress stops this. It filters who can reach you, when, and how. Suddenly you are no longer at the mercy of the world. The world waits for access to you. The fortress also destroys dependency. When you step back, people realize they cannot control you. They cannot predict you. They cannot consume you at will. And this scarcity makes your presence heavier. A rare coin is worth more than a common stone. A rare man is worth more than 1,000 ordinary ones. That rarity is forged inside the fortress. But remember, the fortress is not isolation. A king who hides forever loses his throne. You do not vanish completely. You appear strategically, with impact, like lightning in a storm. The fortress allows you to control when the gates open and when they close. You decide who enters, and you decide when they are thrown out. This power over access is one of the most dangerous forms of confidence. Understand this. Men who belong to everyone belong to no one. The man who builds his fortress belongs only to himself, and because of that, everyone else is forced to respect him on his terms, never theirs. That is the law of the fortress. It is not just protection, it is weaponized distance. It is mystery sharpened into dominance. This is the 7 Machiavellian law of dangerous confidence. Confidence dies the moment you start caring too much. The weak man is a prisoner of approval. He worries about how he is seen, what others think, whether he is accepted. This obsession makes him fragile, easy to manipulate, easy to control. But the Machiavellian man learns the art of indifference. He understands that the less you care, the more power you hold. Think about it. People chase what runs away from them. They value what ignores them. They respect what refuses to beg for attention. The man who appears unaffected by praise or criticism becomes untouchable. Because most people are slaves to reactions. They light up when praised. They crumble when insulted. But the indifferent man remains still, unmoved, unreadable. That stillness terrifies others, because nothing can be used against him. Indifference is not laziness. It is calculated detachment. You show the world that your emotions are not controlled by external forces. Someone insults you, you don't flinch. Someone admires you, you don't melt. You remain the same. This stability is rare, and because it is rare, it is powerful. People begin to wonder, what does this man care about? What moves him? That mystery makes you dangerous. Understand this. Most men reveal their weaknesses by what excites them or what angers them. They show their cards without realizing it. But the indifferent man reveals nothing. His calmness makes others reveal themselves faster, hoping to provoke a reaction. They expose their needs, their desperation, their insecurities, while he remains unshaken. In this game, he always wins. Indifference also breaks control. Society trains men to seek validation from women, from bosses, from peers. This dependency keeps them in chains. But when you master indifference, you cut those chains. You no longer beg for approval. You no longer chase acceptance. You move with self-direction, untouched by outside noise. And ironically, the moment you stop chasing, everything begins to chase you. But here's the dark paradox. Indifference is magnetic. The one who doesn't care becomes the one everyone cares about. Because humans crave recognition, and when you refuse to give it, they fight harder to earn it. The indifferent man does not run after attention, yet attention always runs after him. That reversal of power is Machiavellian mastery. Indifference is not about avoiding life, it's about controlling it. You decide what matters, not them. You decide when to engage, not them. And because your value is not determined by their opinions, you become impossible to manipulate. That is why indifference is one of the sharpest weapons of dangerous confidence. This is the final Machiavellian law of dangerous confidence. Every empire is built with sacrifice. Every king who held power understood one thing: you cannot keep everything and everyone. To rise, you must cut. This is the law of ruthlessness. The weak man clings. He clings to people, to comfort, to habits, to the past. And in that clinging, he bleeds out his strength. But the ruthless man is different. He knows that hesitation is death. He removes what no longer serves him, quickly, cleanly, without apology. Look at history. Leaders who hesitated, who tried to please everyone, who refused to let go of weakness, they fell. Not because they weren't intelligent, but because they lacked the nerve to be ruthless. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He wrote that it is better to be feared than loved, because fear survives when love fades. Ruthlessness is the ability to choose survival over sentiment, strategy over sympathy, power over pity. Ruthlessness doesn't mean cruelty for its own sake. It means precision. It means cutting away what is rotten so the strong can grow. A ruthless man will cut a toxic friend, a manipulative lover, a draining habit without second thought, because he knows every ounce of weakness tolerated today becomes an avalanche of destruction tomorrow. Mercy to weakness is betrayal to yourself. But here's the darker truth. Ruthlessness also applies inward. The man of power does not only cut others, he cuts himself. He kills his excuses. He kills his laziness. He kills the part of him that clings to comfort. He slices away everything inside that resists growth. This self-ruthlessness is what separates the strong from the ordinary. Because before you can conquer the world, you must first conquer yourself. People fear ruthless men because they cannot be controlled. You cannot guilt them because they feel no obligation to weakness. You cannot shame them because they know necessity is beyond morality. You cannot stop them because they are willing to do what others won't. This is the essence of dangerous confidence. When people realize that you will not hesitate, they hesitate for you. Understand this. Life respects only those who are willing to cut. To delay is to decay. To cling is to drown. The ruthless man survives because he decides faster, cuts deeper, and moves forward without looking back. That is why his confidence feels dangerous, because it is sharpened like a blade, and everyone knows he is willing to use it.